Hello, everyone, and welcome to WFAA News. We have got breaking news for you on this night. Mavs great Luka Doncic has indeed been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Joe Trahan, joined with some of my colleagues. We've got our main anchor, Chris Lawrence, as well as part of our sports team. We've got Jonah Javad and Michelle Montaigne. We are talking about this on our streaming app, WFAA Plus, but we also want to get you up to date with what's going on. This happened late last night, and now it's early this morning. Mavs fans have had visceral reactions, wondering how this could happen. A lot of people wondering if it was true when it was first reported. But Luka indeed going to the Lakers. The biggest player that the Lakers will be getting back will be perennial all-star Anthony Davis. The Mavericks will also get a later first-round pick and Max Christie as well in return in this deal. But listen, this is a seismic move for the Mavericks. And this is one of the most surprising trades, I would say, in NBA history. So we're talking about it. We're getting reaction. And Chris, again, I'll throw it to you in terms of your first reaction when this move was made.
I thought it was fake, Joe. I thought, Shams from ESPN blasted it out on X, and I thought he got hacked. I legitimately thought he got hacked, that this had to be, even though it's not April 1st, this had to be some sort of big joke. Somebody hacked into the ESPN account, blasted this out at like 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday, and I just couldn't believe it.
Jonah, what about you? What'd you think?
I thought, what are the Mavericks doing? Trading one of the top 5 players in the NBA for a 31-year-old who's always hurt, all-star, and a first-round pick. I thought my mind always goes to what's the haul. Okay, you're sending Luka, which is going to send shockwaves, but at least what are you getting in return? And it should have been like 8 first-round picks for it to make any sort of sense. And even then, I'm not so sure. I went to why. More than anything else. And if you go on to X or Twitter right now, Patrick Mahomes is tweeting the same thing. Dirk Nowitzki's sending out the same post. It was a very surprising move, especially the time of night that it happened. But yeah, I think like a lot of Mavericks fans, there's shock. I really am feeling bad for it tonight because I know there's a lot of kids who are Mavericks fans that are asleep right now. And they're going to wake up in the morning and a parent's going to have to tell them that their favorite player no longer plays for their team. And I know that sounds kind of like maybe it's a weird thought, but now that I'm a parent, I think about those things. And It's the emotional aspect of all of this. Is like, this is a guy who was brought here when he was 18 years old and has kind of grown up in front of our eyes, and they just trade him because of some reported conditioning concerns and signs of a max extension. And to me, that's just not good enough, Joe.
No, I hear you. And listen, we all know how many 77 jerseys there are across North Texas and across the state of Texas, really, and the entire country with what he has been able to do at a young age and the beginning of his career. So, no, listen, I think it's a great point to bring up. Michelle, you were out with Mavericks fans when this happened. What was the reaction? What was the vibe?
Just absolute and utter physical shock. To Chris's point, I had several guys come out to me with like as much convincing as they could, telling me that it had to be a hack, that it had to be fake. And because it was just shams originally for those first several minutes, people were like, no, it's, it had to be a hack, because at this point, a deal this big would have to have additional people in the loop. They would have to have additional sources in the know about something like this. But it turns out, especially as, some time has gone by since the initial reporting, the players involved in the deal just as surprised. LeBron James, in the dark, didn't know this was coming. And I think ultimately it's just a massive insult to Luka Doncic. Jonah, you just talked about the fact that he got here, back in 2018. They built this franchise around Luka. He led them to the finals in a year where no one saw that coming. I mean, he put the team on his back and got you as close as he could to actually, bringing a championship to your city. And in return, not even, a matter of months later, he's out the door. It's just, it's like you said, it's seismic. And I think in a way, if you're Luka Doncic, I think it's a little bit, I don't know if, I'm no professional athlete and I'm certainly, nowhere of the caliber of Luka, but it's got to be a little hurtful, I would think.
I just don't understand how a team can make the NBA finals. You're 3 wins away from winning an NBA championship. And in the span since then, they've made their roster better. And now they decide it's the time to make a deal. We're going to be asking a lot of questions over these next few days, especially speaking to the Mavericks, their front office, and why this move was made. And I'm sure a lot of stuff is going to kind of come out, days and possibly even weeks into this, and really what led to this move. Because given the haul, this seems like a team that was maybe more motivated to move somebody and find a quick seller. And I know Luka loves LA. He loves Los Angeles. I always thought in the back of my mind years ago that maybe, down towards the latter end of his career, I could see Luka going to the Lakers. I just didn't expect it to happen this way and this soon.
Yeah, no. And listen, this is one of those, line in the sand moments for Mavs GM Nico Harrison. This is the gamble of all gambles, right? When you make this kind of move at this point in Luka Doncic's career, you are making value judgments about what you think he will be, and you're making value judgments that will reverberate in this franchise for possibly a decade. And if it's a swing and a miss, and if it's a whiff, there's only a matter of time, right? Before there becomes a reckoning. Because you can't swing for the fences like this and whiff. Now, if Anthony Davis stays healthy, and if Kyrie Irving continues on his all-star form, he should have been named an all-star, but he wasn't picked as a reserve. If he does, and these other pieces around them can continue to flourish the way that we've seen flashes of, especially here recently, listen, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But if, as we've seen so many times, Anthony Davis, God forbid this happens, but if he gets hurt, if it's one of those situations, and this thing doesn't work out the way that they project it to, I mean, I'm not saying Nico Harrison's putting his career on the line, but this is a tough moment.
Hey, Joe, can I just to one thing, when you just said that, one thing that really struck me is, to me, and again, I don't know the inner workings of the Mavs organization the way you guys do, covering and being with the team, day in and day out. But to me, it really tells everybody this is no longer Mark Cuban's team. This is the Adelson's team with Nico Harrison running the show. And by extension, Michelle mentioned that, LeBron found out, from what I heard, he was out to dinner with his family and was blindsided. This also, on the Lakers side, says, LeBron, this is not your team. These are ownership groups taking control and making their own decisions, for how they think their organizations should proceed.
Well, it is tough. However this plays out, Maverick fans are going to be heartbroken if they didn't hear about it before they happen to go to bed. They are going to be in disbelief in the morning. We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to leave WFAA over the air here, but we are going to continue the conversation on WFAA Plus. So if you can click over there, we'll have more instant reaction there. But we'd like to thank you for letting us get you up to date. Hope you have a great night. We will have much more reaction. I'll have more guests for you tomorrow, and we will completely cover this seismic shift in what is going on with Mavericks basketball for you on WFAA. But go on and head over to WFAA Plus now, where we will continue this conversation. All right, great. All right, you guys, we're clear from WFAA on the air, but we can continue here on Plus. And I do think we're going to have to take a break here pretty soon on Plus as well. Okay. All right. I've got someone in my ear. We got another 2 minutes, and then we're going to take a quick break here, um, and we'll see if we come back after that. But before the break, Maverick fans are Maverick fans have been treated to some of the best moments outside of those championship runs that they've ever experienced with Luka Doncic. And to have it snatched away in the middle of the night, man, a lot of this it doesn't seem right on its face. Um, and it sounds like we know what part of the explanation will be, but man, I don't know if it flies. I don't know if it flies, and I know they're in a tough spot because are they not going to tell us what they really feel and why they're really making the move? I hope that there is some transparency involved here in terms of the way that the Mavericks react to that. That's the only thing I could ask for because Maverick fans certainly deserve that. They certainly deserve that. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back on the other side on WFAA Plus. We will have much more reaction to Luka Doncic being traded to the LA Lakers. Stay with us, folks, here on WFAA Plus. We're back on WFAA Plus. Joe Trahan along with Chris Lawrence. We've also got Michelle Montaigne and Jonah Javad with us as well. And we're reacting to the incredibly surprising news that Luka Doncic has been traded to the LA Lakers. The Mavericks getting, among others, Anthony Davis in return. They'll get a first-round draft pick and Max Christie as well. Just remarkable news, incredibly surprising news, out of the blue seemingly. And we're reacting to it for you here on WFAA Plus. And I should have said this before, you guys, but we have got to stop meeting like this. These Friday and Saturday late night chat sessions that we've been having lately, we have got to cut this out, right? I need my beauty sleep. But listen, I mean, we've been talking through this, and I think more than anything, like a lot of Maverick fans, you guys, trying to make sense of this, because on its face, it doesn't make sense unless you would tell me that there are a lot of things behind the scenes that haven't been talked about, that we don't know, that have caused doubts in the front office. And whatever those reasons are, I think the Mavericks are taking a big gamble and a huge risk in deciding to part ways with Luka Doncic when he's 25 years old.
I think, Joe, the age component of this is really interesting because you mentioned earlier Kyrie potentially being like the head of the snake, right? But he's sitting at 32. You bring in Anthony Edwards, 31. Even if they give you, Anthony Davis, thank you. Even if they give you a good run through, this year's postseason and potentially next year, look at the Western Conference as a whole and take the Thunder, for example. Their starting five last year, average age was lower than several college football teams starting 11 on either side of the ball. I mean, they have, and not to mention how many first round picks Sam Presti has locked up. So you're not making it to the finals unless you go through the current number one seed in the Thunder. But, that's a team that Sam Presti has proven to be able to, make or fortify for years to come. And so I think the age component, since you brought it up, the fact that Luka is 25, and even when Kyrie was brought in to help Luka out, I mean, he was still, on the out with his age. And so I think there's just got to be, like you said, more to it from even if we are in this win now mentality, you have to be able to sustain or I guess go through a significant rebuild by the time these two superstars kind of age out.
And the other thing is, listen, if you had whatever reservations there were about this long-term stuff and you were worried more about your defense, why didn't you ship him to the Eastern Conference? Because, oh, by the way, I mean, you mentioned OKC, I get it, but they're going to have to look at Luka as well. I mean, can you imagine the way this thing's going to play out? Every year as a Maverick fan, Jonah, having to look at Luka?
It doesn't make sense. Like, none of it makes sense. The haul that they got in return makes no sense. 1 first-round pick 4 years from now, plus Anthony Davis. Like, I know AD is a good player, but his best years are behind him. He's hurt every year. Since Luka came into the league in 2018, Luka's played more games than AD, 57 more games. That includes the postseason. So whatever reservations you have about Luka's conditioning, he still plays more games than AD. And availability is the best ability, right?
Yep.
And so from that standpoint, I look past some of those things. And maybe there's some rifts in the front office and with new ownership. We're not privy to all the things that go inside, and maybe those things will be revealed in the coming days down the line. But still, even if there are things like that, this is the NBA. Everyone's a diva. Everyone comes with baggage.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have to accept it for what they can do on a basketball court. And you've got a 5-time first-team All-NBA type player in his mid-20s. Okay, still better than whatever they got in return. So if you're going to ship him, ship him to the East. Get 10 first-round picks in return. I mean, the haul doesn't make sense. None of it.
And then what about Anthony Davis? Because recall, Anthony Davis just made big news of his own, saying that they needed another big man, there in LA. And he goes out in front, he makes that comment, and then they ship him off. So what's his state of mind going to be when he comes here to Dallas? I mean, how much heads up did they give him? Or were they just, was this I guess the biggest question, the long-term question, Chris, will be about the reactionary feel that this has for everyone. It just feels like it's been spun up rather quickly. And again, not being privy to all the behind the scenes and what the Mavs have been thinking for however long, but on its face, it does seem very reactionary.
I mean, on an emotional level, I feel so bad for all of those fans, the diehard Mavs fans, and especially the kids who were maybe circling a few dates, in February or whenever, when Luka was going to be back, to say, hey, we'll get a chance to see Luka play as the season starts to wind down. We get past the All-Star break and everything. And it's like, just like that, that's gone. I mean, that's gone. And I think the abruptness of it is so jarring. I mean, as a fan, you're just like, wait, I'm never going to see my favorite player suit up ever again. Now, to play devil's advocate, and I think Michelle brought up a good point, with the draft picks and the some of the teams in the West being so young. Flip this around. Say you get this so-called haul, you trade them to Utah, and you get, 4, 5, 6 first round picks and swaps and all this stuff. And, okay, you get all that, right? Well, Victor Wembanyama is in his second year. OKC got a bunch of 21-year-olds. How much of those draft picks, okay, you're going to trade Luka Doncic to a team. That team's probably not going to be picking in the high lottery anymore. Now that team's probably going to be 15, 16, God forbid, 22, 25. So it starts to become like you really roll the dice with some of these so-called draft hauls. A lot of times they don't turn out to be very much of a haul. So I know Mavs fans would say, oh my gosh, we got 10 first-round picks. 10 first-round picks or Anthony Davis, there is something to be said for a bird in the hand beating two in the bush.
Yeah, Chris, there's a third option. You just don't trade Luka Doncic.
There you go.
There's that.
Like, it doesn't have to be either or, which is kind of where I'm at. And also, I mean, it's, and listen, AD's not a bad player. And that's what's kind of crazy about this is for like most teams, they get Anthony Davis. They're like, oh my gosh, we got Anthony Davis. Remember when the Lakers got him, it was like that. But it's just because of how much you're giving up, how much potential, how many years of great basketball he still has ahead of him. But from a roster construction standpoint, what's odd about this is they have Derek Lively II. He's this young center that plays close to the same position as AD, maybe a little bit more to the basket. Same with Daniel Gafford, but they've got a collection of bigs now. And their issue kind of really over the last couple of months was having more ball handlers, having more guys who can score off the dribble and create. Because Klay's more of a knockdown shooter. All their guys kind of have their roles. But now you give up really one of your key ball handlers. So really it's Kyrie and a few guys off the bench like Spencer Dinwiddie and maybe Jaden Hardy. So from that roster construction standpoint, I'm not sure this team is really built for a playoff run either. So it just seems like there's a lot of things that don't make sense. That the depth chart part, the rotation among them.
I've been getting a lot of reaction from friends, and I want to share this one reaction because this person is Dallas native, 50-ish years of age. And this is what he just texted to me. This is the saddest I've been about a Dallas sports team since Danny White kept losing in the NFC Championship games in the early 80s. It hurts. I was a Luka for life guy, was going to be my favorite player of all time. We were just in the damn finals. And I think that really captures exactly where Mavs Nation is right now on what will go down as a horrible night. No matter how this works out, the way this went down, it's still going to go down as a horrible night for Maverick fans. And I'll go around the horn. I'm going to close it with that, but I'll go around the horn. Ladies first. Michelle, let's go around the horn with final thoughts before we close out.
My final thought actually comes off of what Jonah just said. With current roster construction, the fact that they do now have what seems to be quite a few big men, I don't know that this is going to be the final trade. That, and not that it ever would be, but I think we could probably see a couple more dominoes fall. Maybe you traded Daniel Gafford, who's having one of the best seasons that we've seen out of him. And maybe you get some more ball handlers in return for a Daniel Gafford, and obviously whatever Nico thinks will balance things out is, what we'll see. But I wonder if this is just kind of the start of a couple big moves. But obviously, Joe, to echo your sentiment exactly, none of what I think is set to come will compare or measure up to trading a Luka Doncic, especially in the current climate we're in with Dallas, as a team that just went to the finals.
Jonah, final thoughts?
This will go down as the worst trade in NBA history. And I know there were a lot of bad ones until proven otherwise. This will be one of those prove it wrong, not type of, well, let's just see how it plays out. There are a lot of let's see how it plays out trades. This is Nico Harrison betting his entire job on one trade. And so we're going to see how it plays out.
Chris, what do you think?
As a diehard sports fan, man, I operate on a pure emotional level. Sports franchises operate on a transactional level. And when the emotional gets whacked over the head by the transactional, it hurts. It really hurts.
No, it's rough. And I know that hurt is being felt by a lot of Maverick fans on this night. We're going to leave it there from us, but we have still got plenty more reaction coming your way right now on WFAA Plus. In fact, our cameras went out and found Maverick fans, and we will have reaction from Maverick fans coming your way as soon as we wrap up here. And then we've also got our Locked On podcast. They went on, they did their instant reaction as well. Nick Angstead is there with Locked On. He does a fantastic job. He's at every Mavericks home game. He travels at times. He went to all the playoff games last year. Nick does a great job. He will be on after that. So we appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. Michelle, Jonah, Chris, thank y'all so much for staying up late. It's past 1 a.m. Time for me, the old man, to get some sleep. I think I might be headed to Cleveland tomorrow where the Mavs are playing. If I can get a flight and get there, I might head there. So we'll see about that. But thanks so much for joining us tonight. We got plenty more on the Mavs coming your way after this. Stay tuned right here on WFAA Plus. Good night, everyone.